Well, hello there. This is Pastor Dan with First Alliance Church. It's good to be with you this afternoon. We are reflecting on Jeremiah chapter 31, verse 25 today. With all of the turmoil in our world, I have been in Jeremiah. Jeremiah, the weeping prophet, describes a world where God is involved, and he invited Israel to trust him. And Israel did not want to. The 10 tribes had already been taken off into captivity. And Judah, the last 2 tribes, were on the edge. And Jeremiah writes to a people of Israel, calling them to repent, calling them to come back to the Lord, before things happened that were bad for them. And I'm reminded that we all want to escape hardship. We all want to escape injury. But in this world, injury and hardship, it is just part of our human condition. Now it happens that we live in a world that feels more like we're in a resort than most people in the world. I was talking to William Arzola earlier this week, who had gotten back from Venezuela, and he told me about some flooding that came through his town. He said the people in his town were outside during the middle of the day, and it was a nice time. But up in the mountains a little farther, it had rained very, very hard. And the floods came down and washed through the middle of his town. 20, 30, 40 people were killed. Thousands of people were displaced from their homes. You know, the injuries that cause us harm are all around us. Sometimes they're medical, sometimes they're car accidents, sometimes they're people issues. Sometimes it's violence. So what are we to do as people with all of this trauma? Well, we need God to give us rest. We need to find a way. So how do we do that? One is we have to understand that God is with us. We have to understand God is with us when we have trauma. He never leaves us or forsakes us. We also understand that we have to have a relationship with people. I had a conversation with a fellow in church who's experiencing health concerns that has caused him to stay to himself just a bit too much. And I encouraged him that we need to come together, that we can support one another, that I can support him in his hardship and he can support me in our journey, that we really do need each other. As I read through Jeremiah, I came to chapter 31, verse 25. And the Lord is saying through Jeremiah to the people of Israel who are suffering, I will refresh the weary and satisfy the faint. To refresh the weary. When my plants in the summer are thirsty because they don't have enough water, they wilt. And when I put the water on, they grow back again. They're refreshed. We need to be refreshed in our souls. He refreshes the weary, and he says, I satisfy the faint. To satisfy is to meet their needs. And one of the verses that come to mind when I think of God refreshing the weary and satisfying the faint is one of my favorite verses in Matthew 11:28, where Jesus says, Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. I will give you rest. Rest from your fears, rest from your anxiety, rest from your turmoil, rest from the things in the world that we just can't control. Because we have a God who is in control. And even though there are things that are bad that happen because he gives us freedom and nature sometimes is unruly, God is still with us and he still oversees our lives. And we are to take comfort in God and not retreat from him. He says, I will refresh the weary and satisfy the faint. And then in Matthew, he says, I will give you rest. And in me you will find rest for your souls. That's the part there in end of 29. Is your soul feeling like you need some extra rest these days? I know mine is. Perhaps you need to pause and read some in Jeremiah. Pause and read some in Matthew 11. Let the power of God stream in your life, that you would recognize God's nearness and experience the peace that comes from having God with you in your trials. May your sleep be sweet, and may your needs be satisfied. Our God is a good God. Now, He may take a little long, but He's a good God. Let's trust Him today together. This is Pastor Dan with First Alliance Church. First Alliance Church is a great place to be.